Hello everyone, welcome back to Sujit Analytics. This is the continuation of SQL Tutorials. In this tutorial, I'll be explaining indexes in SQL. So let's understand what is indexes or what is index. An index in SQL is like an index in a book. It helps you to find information faster without scanning the whole book. Suppose imagine if you have a book with a lot of 1,000 to 2,000 pages where you have different chapters. Suppose if you want to go to a specific chapter, if the book has not have indexes, it is very difficult to go through every page and select that specific topic. So if we have indexes on the specific book, using that index number, we can quickly locate to that specific page. We can directly go to that specific page without scanning, without checking every page. So in the same way, indexes in SQL work same way. Index helps the database to locate data quickly without scanning every row in a table. So what happens means when we create an index on table, when we use queries or when we perform some operations, like when we use set queries, the database locate the data very quickly without scanning every row in the table. That is what index. It's understand why we use index. So we use indexes mainly to speed of set queries. Indexes improve the set queries and also performance on larger tables. So when we are performing joins or subqueries on the larger tables, the indexes are useful to retrieve the data very quicker and very faster. And also one thing is uh, these indexes can slow down the operations like insert, update, delete because these indexes also need to be updated. When we perform these operations, the indexes should also needs updating. That's why the this slowdowns the insert, update, or delete operations. So we have to ensure we have to use indexes only on most frequently used columns like where clause, join clause. So whatever we use in that specific clauses, that columns only we have to use in indexes. So there are two types of indexes mainly: cluster index and non-cluster index. Let's understand what is cluster index. The cluster index determines the physical order of data in a table. It stores data physically in the order of the index. Means when we create cluster index, the data stores physically in the order of the index in the main table. So it is like a order of like main order in the table, and we can create only one index per table. So let's create a cluster index on a specific table. Uh, let's create an index. Create syntax for creating cluster indexes. Create cluster. I hope you understand what is cluster index. Cluster index that means it's an index that determines the physical order of data in the table. Means it stores data physically in the order of the main index. And we can only create one cluster index per table. Create cluster index. Index name is I'm giving ix uh, cluster index. New cluster index cluster. We have to specify the on class and the table name. Okay, I want to apply this cluster index on employees table or employee table on employee ID. I'm creating cluster index on this table employee ID. In the employees table on employee ID. Employee ID is not exist. Is employee number, EMP number. Taking time, yeah, it is completed. Command completed successfully means the index is created. You can go to database practice DB The table is in EMP1 since we created an employees table. So the index is available only within the employee table. Table indexes. See the indexes is stored in this table, employee table. So this index IX cluster is defined on this employee table, employee number. So, basically, what happens means if we create any, like when you defining a table, if you use primary key, it automatically creates a cluster index. We don't need to again create the index on this table. So if our table don't have indexes, we can create explicitly. But if when we create a table, if we define primary key on the specific column, we don't need to create the cluster index again explicitly. The SQL automatically creates the cluster index. This is cluster index. Coming to non-cluster index, this is a type of index. It creates separate structure like a lookup table. So it is different from cluster index because does not determine the physical order of the data. So unlike what happens means this cluster when we create non-cluster index on a table or a column, it creates a specific structure like a lookup table. Instead of maintaining the physical order, it creates its own structure like a lookup table. So let's create a non-cluster index. Here non-cluster is syntax is create non-clustered. Since it is a non-cluster, we have to give non-clustered um, index. Index name is hanging ix non-cluster. On giving this employees table, employee EMP1 on department number. Unknown object type non used in the create first statement. Now we don't need to use the space. Column name department number does not exist. Actually, DEPTNO. Complete successfully means the index is created on this table. Let's refresh it. Okay. Now a non-clustered index is created. This non-cluster is non-unique plus non-cluster. Non-unique means it does not have uniqueness. The cluster means it maintains the physical order. This is about non-cluster index. And one thing is we can create multiple non-cluster index per table, but we can create only one cluster index per table. This is about a non-cluster index. So let's understand this cluster index and non-cluster index with a real-world analogy. Yeah, cluster index means like books arranged by title. It's like main order. Non-cluster means it is a separate list of authors with page numbers. This is secondary access path. Cluster index means like a books arranged by title. It's like main order. It's like specific structure. But non-cluster means it is like a separate list. Separate list of authors with page numbers. It is like a secondary access path. So this is about indexes. I hope you understand. If you believe you learned something today, don't forget to give a like and share it with your friends who are learning SQL. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Sujit Analytics, to stay updated with my latest tutorials. That's all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.